everyone, it's Jennifer and thank you for joining me today. I have a demo and I'm going to be sharing with you 3 projects. And why 3 projects in one video? Because I am going to be sharing with you my Fab Five Plus. I have the 5 companies plus another that are my must-haves when working on my projects. And I've mentioned my Fab Five before, being Kellie's Bead Boutique, SilverSilk and More, Jesse James Beads, Tiara Cast, Softflex Company, and my Plus, which is Danielle Wicks from John Bead. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be, I'm going to share with you a demo of a pair of earrings inspired by Kellie from Kellie's Bead Boutique, and I'm going to be using some, I'm actually going to be using some 26 gauge wire in vintage bronze. This one's actually from Beadsmith, but the one demo that I have already done is 26 gauge gold silver plated craft wire from Softflex Company. I don't have 26 gauge Softflex. So we're going to go ahead and use this. I have a ton of it, so I want to get that used up as well. We're also going to be including some Tiara Cast, and then I have some Jesse James beads and Dress It Up buttons in here. So Kellie's she has what's called Cross My Heart earrings, and she has that in kit form, and so I just want to bring that to the forefront along with all of my favorites here. My other 2 projects are going to include another Kellie inspired bracelet using some leather from Kellie's Bead Boutique, as well as some components from Tiara Cast and some small beads from her shop. And I will leave links to everything that I'm going to be using in the shop, with the exception of probably the leather, because it came in a mystery bead box from her. My 3rd project is going to include SilverSilk and More, some Jesse James beads, John Bead beads from Danielle Wicks, and also some Softflex and maybe some Tiara Cast. We'll see if that makes the cut. But we have some Tiara Cast here, and we're going to have some Tiara Cast in my 2nd project as well. So this one here, for this earring, the kit includes these Tiara Cast bead caps, a couple of these gorgeous 4mm faceted beads from Tiara Cast, and some Tiara Cast rings, hammered rings. Oh, and their ear wires. So this is exactly what you're going to get in the kit from Kellie. You're going to get one of these buttons as well, but hers is brown. I got these from Dress It Up Buttons and saw these and thought, I love red, and I'm going to make up some earrings using these. And then also too, I have some faceted rondelles, and these are from, you can get these I think I found them in 3 different bead mixes from Jesse James Beads. You can find them in the ice cream mini mix cookie dough. You can find them in the light academia or similar. And then also the rose gold color trends mix. You'll find something similar to this as well. I believe I got these out of the cookie dough mini mix. The demo that I had already done up was using a little bit of different, some different components, because I didn't have all of the same components in gold, and I wanted to use these gorgeous red rondelles, and they're kind of coral, but they have that gorgeous AB finish on it. And I got these in in one of the Beads by the Pound from Jesse James Beads, and I will share the link with you for that too. Also included were these are a larger rondelle, and they're just so gorgeous red, and those would go really well with these too. But for these, instead of using this style bead cap, I used the hammer tone bead cap from Tiara Cast. I used their gold hammer tone ring, their gold filled ear wires, and I used these little 3mm rondelles or hishis. And then I also do have this little hex this little hex bead here that's faceted as well. I didn't use it, but I had it out just in case. And then I just had these little filigree bead caps, and I used those for that space in between. It fit perfectly in between the heart, and then I added the hammer tone bead cap, then that gorgeous rondelle, another hammer tone bead cap with one of the filigree, and then that little 3mm bead, and then wire wrapped it. I did a messy, chunky, bulky wrap, and then attached, and I had attached it to the ring before I started wrapping, and then used the ear wire. So that's how that one turned out. And I wanted to, I was gonna make the other one, but then I wanted to also show this rendition. And again, the only difference between Kellie's is that this is a red heart that I got from Dress It Up Buttons. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I am going to take probably about, I think 10 inches or so, about 10 inches of this 26 gauge wire. And I'm gonna go ahead and use my cutters. You're gonna need your cutters for this. You're also going to need some round nose pliers. You're gonna need some chain nose pliers, maybe 2 pairs. This one has a wider nose on it. This one here is nice for doing the wire wraps because it has a nice skinny nose. And then if you want to use some bent chain nose pliers. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our button and our wire, and we are going to pass that through the 2 holes of the button. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to line these up and get these as even as possible, and bring that down just like that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to come around the back here while holding that in place, and you're going to go ahead and take one wire on one side and pass it through and bring it to the front. And you want that to be tight, so go ahead and but you don't want to get it all kinked up. You can just straighten that out, and then take the other side and pass that through. Okay, and make sure you're tight. You don't want any gaps. Okay, so now that you have that, you can go ahead and let's go ahead and pass it through another time and go towards the back. Pull that tight and push that through the back. And you can just do this once if you want. I like the look of the 3 wires just because it's so pretty. And when you get them nice and tight, it just looks really pretty. So now you're going to take the wire here on your left and pass it through to the right, because you're going to be crossing that over. Okay, and pull that nice and tight. Now grab the one that's on the right side here and cross it over. And pull that nice and tight. Now what you want to do is do the same thing. So I'm going to take one end and cross it over just like this and pull it tight. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and pull that over and get that nice and tight. Okay, and so now you have those. Just make sure they're nice and tight, no gaps. Then what you're going to want to do is you're going to need to bring one more to the front. And so go ahead and bring one more over to the front, or actually, we're going to send it through the back. I'm sorry, we're going to send it through the back to bring it to the front. So we're going to send it, we're just going to take either one, it doesn't matter which one, and just pass it through the front there. Pull it nice and tight. And now what you're going to want to do is bring those together just like that. And then you're going to want to go ahead and twist and twist about 4 or 5 times. Okay. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take one of those gorgeous faceted beads there and drop it through. And when you drop it through, it just fits really nicely in there. Let's go ahead and get it aligned a little bit better. Then we're going to go ahead and drop one of our bead caps. We're going to drop one of our beads, just like so. We're going to drop one of our bead caps. And then we're going to drop another one of these little beads here, one of these little guys. Okay. And you can determine which one you want to be the front. I think I like this one as the front. Then what you're going to do is you're going to come in with your chain nose pliers, and I would come in with the more narrow end, and I am going to I want this to be my front, so I'm going to pull it towards the front like that. I'm going to come in with my round nose pliers, and I need a large enough loop to make it around this here. So on these, I am going to go about halfway up, and it just depends on the size of your round nose pliers. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and bring this through and attach it that way. And then I'm going to come in with these narrow chain nose pliers, just like so. And then I'm going to start wrapping, and I'm going to go around a couple of times and then come back up a couple of times. And if you need your chain nose pliers to finish things off, you can grab your bent chain nose pliers or your other pair of chain nose pliers. Bring that to the back. We're going to give it a little bit of a trim. Not much waste, just a little bit. So if that is cutting it too close for some, go ahead and cut a little bit more if you like. Get that tucked in. There we go. And then if you have to finagle anything around, just kind of come in with your chain nose pliers, be very careful, and just get that going straight. And since it's 26 gauge wire, it's not going to, you'll have an easy time grabbing that. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get these guys opened up, or this guy opened up. He fits right on in there. Or he did with the other one. There it goes. Okay, and then let's go ahead and get it closed up. If I can see there, there we go. Get that closed up, and then we have another earring. So this is just another style using the faceted cubes and the different style of bead caps. And here is the other one. So you have a couple of examples here. Let's see if we can get those. And there you go. So this is our first Kellie inspired pair of earrings. I'm going to put a link to her kit. She does have the kit still available. I'll also put a link to if you want to put this all together yourself in either way, and I will get that put in the description. So now let's move on to the next project. Okay, so we're back for project number 2. We're going to be using some 1.5 millimeter leather cord. This I got in one of my mystery boxes from Kellie's Bead Boutique, and I cut off 30 inches, and look how much I still have, just a ton. And I'm going to be using, I'm not sure if I'm going to use this turquoise or if I'm going to be using this custard. I'm not sure which color I'm going to be using yet, because I think I'm going to be doing this as a set with using, I have one of these gorgeous chunky crystal hearts, and then I used a custard rondelle from Jesse James Beads. And so, and this came from SilverSilk and More. And so I'm working on a project, And this is your sneak peek at it right now. So I'm thinking about using this custard so that I can have a matching set. We're going to be using a More button from Tiara Cast. We're going to be using one of these gorgeous two-sided charms from Tiara Cast. Also one of these textured rings from Tiara Cast, and then some jump rings, and we're going to need a barrel knot tube. So you know that if I'm going to be doing anything that is Kellie inspired from Kellie's Bead Boutique, it's going to include a barrel knot because that's what she does. This is, I said this was inspired by Kellie. This is going to be similar to her lovely, it's lovely bracelet. I think it might just be called Lovely Leather Bracelet. And so it's going to be similar to it, with the exception of on this other end, I am going to make some barrel knots for the clasp rather than, she used some crimp ends from Tiara Cast. Since this is 1.5 millimeters, the caps that I have fit 2 millimeter, and I tried it and there was just too much of a gap in between once I crimped it down. So I decided to go ahead and do it a little bit differently, but it's still going to be Kellie inspired. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have about 30 inches. I'm not sure if this is way too much or if we're going to run a little short when we get to the end. So we might have to modify what we do. So, but I plan on attaching the button here, doing a barrel knot, then going all the way down to the end, doing a barrel knot and doing a barrel knot as the clasp. And in between, we're going to wire wrap one of these beads using one of Kellie's head pins. She has these bald head pins that are just amazing. And so we're gonna attach, we're gonna actually attach all of this onto one. I have an extra jump ring just in case I need to get it orientated a little bit differently. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're gonna go ahead and take one end of the leather and go ahead and pass it through the shank of the button. And then we want to go down to the bottom here, even. But I'm going to be doing 3 wraps. So I need to offset this just a little bit. So I'm going to offset this probably a couple of inches maybe. So we're going to go, that's probably more like 3 inches. So we're going to just offset it just a little bit so that we can be even when we get down to the end for barrel knots. When I do the barrel knot, I'm going to want my knot to be right here. It's about 1/4 inch, but I want it to be at the end of my button so that my button has room to go through the other side. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want my long side on top, which I have. So I have my long side on top. And I am going to place my barrel in between here. And you can get these barrels either in, if you buy this lovely leather kit from Kellie, you do get the barrel tube, or she has them on her website too. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're gonna wrap it around 3 times. And I'm working towards my left hand. And then while holding on, I'm gonna bring this through. And this is my working end still. And I'm gonna bring it through and then release the barrel knot. Okay, so now I do want to bring this a little bit closer. So while I'm keeping this all intact, I am going to start bringing in and tightening this up. Okay, and so this isn't as strong as your 2 millimeter, but not as delicate as your 1 millimeter. So you do still have to be a little delicate with it, but not as much. And you want to get that all nice and tight. And this is exactly where I want it. I want it right there. So then go ahead and tighten that up. And if you want to put some GS Hypo Cement in there, you can go ahead and do that. Then let's go ahead and so now we have one end that's a little bit longer than the other, and that's okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make our components. our component here. And I have decided I'm going to go ahead and use this custard. And let me show you. I have these little containers, and they came in a set on Amazon, and they fit in a box, and I think there's like 20 or 25. And then what I do is I cut her little tag off so that I know what it is. And so there is the product number, if you can see that there. And then I know where I got them, and then I can get more when I need to. So let's go ahead and get this wire wrapped. I'm going to come in with my bent chain nose pliers because I like that size. That just gives me the perfect neck for these jump rings, or these head pins. And let's go ahead and come in. And I put little marks here because this is my standard where I like my loops to go. And if you're saying, oh, Jennifer normally has these longer round nose pliers, I ended up getting some of these from Softflex company, just because these just seem to be a little off. So when you look at it, I've probably wire wrapped memory wire or something with this to throw them off. And so I did get these shorter ones here. So go ahead and just form that around your top barrel. Okay, so we have that, right? Now we need to bring this. So this needs to come around and be poking out this way. So the way to do that is just take your palm and rotate it and go ahead and get that. See, now it's all pushed to the back, but it's off-centered. So just rotate your wrist until it's now centered. We are not going to be wire wrapping this directly onto the component there. So we're going to go ahead and wire wrap here, because then we're going to attach them. We're going to attach this using a jump ring so that the orientation is right, because I do on these wire wrap components, I do have like a front and a back, which this is my front. The front is where the wire starts to go around, and the back is where I finish it off. Give that a little bit of a trim. We're going to come in and we're going to hold this. You can hold this with your fingers, or you can hold this with your chain nose pliers. I like to hold it with my chain nose pliers because with my bent chain nose pliers, because then I can come in and just give it a nice tight snug finish. There we go. All right, and so there we have it. Now you decide which side you want to be facing where your dangle is going to drop. So I actually am going to go with this side this time. And then, so this here, this textured ring is going to go through the leather, just like so. Now, to get this oriented right, I am going to go ahead and add one of these. we're going to add this larger jump ring, like so. Okay, so it's going to sit like that. So then if I attach this, it's going to be off to the side, right? So this jump ring is going to connect these two to this. Sound perfect? Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and get this bad boy opened up. And we can close him up and just give him a real nice tight close. And you can hear it kind of lock into place. Okay, and it's a little off, the little jump ring, but that's okay. It's way off. This is a bad jump ring. Usually I have another jump ring too, kind of in the wings, but I don't for this one. So let's see if we can get this one going right. Kind of get him going a little bit. Let's just kind of give him a little bit of help here. See if I can get my chain nose pliers in there. It's actually looking more like an oval now. So let's go ahead, and you see how it's crossed. This is just a, all right, I think we recovered. Yep, we recovered quite well on that one. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and attach this guy along with our charm and our, let's see if we can get that on there. There we go. So we're gonna put our charm. This is the front, or our little dangle, and then we're gonna add our charm, and then we're gonna add this to the front here. Get this closed off, and then we will finish off this bracelet with a couple of barrel knots. Okay, there we go there. All right, so now you have to decide how long you want your bracelet. So your knot is probably gonna be about 1/4 of an inch or so. And then you're gonna attach it here to your button, which would be down here. So if I want a 7-inch bracelet, this is where I want my second knot to go. So then my first knot is probably gonna go about right here, okay? And so that would probably be about, that's gonna be at about 6 1/4. So it's gonna be about 6 1/4, because we need at least this width of loop down here to attach it to. So we're gonna go about right there. And we're gonna get our long, and it probably doesn't matter really your long and short now, because we have quite a bit. So let's go ahead, and we're gonna go about right there. And we're gonna take our top. You always take your top and go 1, 2, and if you wanna only go 2 around, you can go just 2 around if you wish. I'm gonna go ahead and go 3. And then I'm gonna pass that through while I'm holding on. I'm holding on to this all in place there, right? And then now I just wanna make sure that we're even. So I can get this pulled just a little bit, or this end, there we go. So we want it to be even, and I want it to be at about 6 1/4, which is way up this way. So we're just gonna start. So all you have to do is just finagle it. Just work your way back up. Make sure you're staying even. And I've gone a little too much, so I'm just gonna back it up this way now. And then here we go. Let's see where I'm at. That is perfect. So now I just wanna pull a little bit, but not to break it. And there we have our first loop. Now what we're going to do, and you want to make sure that you have it at least a little even there. Okay, and leather will stretch. It will stretch a little too. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we want to have about that size. So it's not just the button. So if you just measure by the button, you're not going to have enough, because if you look, the shank is a little bit. So you want to make sure that you have enough room for not only your button, but for the shank too. And so when measuring out this other side, it's so important to include both. And so this is where we want to be. Okay, and then again, you'll have time, and actually I want this other longer end. So I'm gonna flip it over, because I want the longer end on top so that I have more to work with. Though the bottom would probably be just fine, but let's go ahead and just go with the longer. So we're gonna go around 3 times, okay? Get that all nice and intact. Then we're gonna pass that through while holding on to everything, because you do not want to let go of this little wrapped bundle that you have, because then it gets the wraps get out of order, and you just don't want that. So now before you see here, I'm tight enough to where these are not going to crisscross, but I'm still not as tight as I want to be because I just need to be a little bit more. So I'm going to put my fingernail right there, and then I want to tighten it up against my fingernail there. Okay, so I am tugging and pulling. Let's tug and pull a little bit here. Tug and pull, tug and pull. And this leather is just a little different because it has a different kind of coating on it. And so it's not that natural leather that just kind of slides really nicely or easily. It still slides nicely, don't get me wrong. Okay, so now we have our little rendition of the lovely leather bracelet. And then you can, we can tie another knot over here. So we can do we have enough that we can do a couple of, we can finish it off with a little 2-wrap barrel knot. And again, I did about 30 inches, and this is about a 6 1/4 to 7 inch bracelet. Okay, so here we go there, and I want my little ends to kind of come out a little bit, and I'm going to tug and pull, push and pull, never crossing. Okay, and there we go there, and we can trim that off. And again, put some GS Hypo in here on this knot and right here at those knots where they all meet. You can do that here too. And let's go ahead and get another one in here. And we're going to do this one probably a little further out so they're not on top of each other. So let's go here and go here. That will be on top of each other. It's okay though too. So again, like I said, we have plenty of leather to work with. And I will tell you, with this leather, it's just easier with any leather cording. It's easier to be long than to be short, because once your strands get so short, for one thing, you have to be able to pass it through that barrel tube, and then also to have enough room to do your tugging and pulling. All right, so let's try and get about the same length there. And there we go. So we don't have that much left over. If you look at the two sides, what we have about 2.5 inches here and probably about 3.5 inches there. So not that much. But here we have our cute little, our Kellie's rendition, or Bella Rain, Jennifer Miller rendition of Kellie's lovely leather bracelet, using some tiara cast and her bead from her shop, these beads here, and leather that I got from her mystery bead box. So next up is our third and final project, using some SilverSilk and More and some beads from John Bead and Danielle Wicks, and some tiara cast. So if you want to stick around, stick around. Thank you for sticking around. For this third and final project, we're going to be using some pipe chain from SilverSilk and More. And what I love about this pipe chain is this is like a silicone-based rubber tubing that has about maybe a 2 millimeter hole through there, and then he wire wraps around it. So he does disclose in all of his videos where he uses this pipe chain that if you're allergic to latex or silicone or any type of product like that, that this probably is not the product for you. As for me, I would glove up, triple glove. I would do anything to be able to use this product. So do know that this is a silicone rubber based tubing that's on the inside. And I love it because you can stuff it with anything. You can stuff it with like a 1 millimeter leather. I'm not sure if 1.5 gets through here. Let's see if 1.5. So it might just be a 1 millimeter hole. Yeah, 1.5 is hard. So that must just be a 1 millimeter hole. And so I know you can get 20 gauge through here because I've used it. But today we're going to be using some Soft Flex medium, and this is the metallic flex wire, and this is in champagne. I love the champagne color, so beautiful. And then we're going to be using some tiara cast buttons that I also got from Soft Flex Company, and these are, I think they're called the Sunburst. We're also going to be using these little flower spacer beads. These are new spacer beads, also from Tiara Cast. We're going to be using one of these gorgeous beads this is from the Vincent van Gogh Masterpiece Collection. This is a John Bead product, and it's just absolutely amazing. I love these Masterpiece collections. They just include so many yummy, goody beads, and I just love it. I love that finish on it. And so this is from John Bead, and I got this from Danielle Wicks on her Etsy shop. And there's also this, this is part of their recipes. So they have recipes also with, this is a lavender scone, they have a carrot cake, and then also too, if you want to see, this one is the Leonardo da Vinci. And I've already used part of that, but it's this bead that I just absolutely love. It's that AB finish, and I just love it on that turquoise. So we have that there. That's the bead we're going to be using. And then I don't know how many crimps I'm going to be used, but these are the 2x2 crimp tubes from Soft Flex Company, and I'm going to be using them with the magical crimper because I want to get that bead-like finish. I am going to flat crimp in one area, so don't judge, but I think I'm going to flat crimp in one area. And then I also have some 8/0 seed beads in this kind of dark bronzy metallic mix, and this is from Danielle Wicks, and I got this at her Etsy shop, and it was a pack of 4 8/0 seed beads, and look how wonderful all of those colors go together. And then you see here I have one of those magnetic double link magnetic clasps from Tiara Cast that I got from Soft Flex Company, and so you can tell I'm going to be making a project with those. You're also going to, in case you do a flat crimp, you're going to need a pair of chain nose pliers, and then we're going to need some cutters to cut off the wire. That's all you're going to need. So with the pipe chain, what I'm going to do is I am going to use seed beads. This is a Nealay inspired project. He did a project just like this on his YouTube channel. So be sure to go check out SilverSilk and More, their YouTube channel. I will put a link to that. I'm gonna have so many links in this description for you guys. And you can you'll see me. I had 2 guest appearances on his Tuesday Toots, and I made pair of earrings, a pair of chandelier earrings, and can't remember what the other project was. I want to feel like it was a pair of earrings, but I can't remember. Okay. Well, so we're going to be cutting off some of this Soft Flex wire, and I probably want I'm going to go about 18 inches or so, maybe 20. Let's go 20 just for good measure. And let's go ahead and cut that off because we're going to be doubling this up and passing it through the pipe chain. So now what we're going to do is we are going to load up our beading wire here, our Soft Flex wire, which I love Soft Flex wire. It is, again, one of my Fab Five plus. Okay, and so we're going to go that way. Let's go ahead and get more here. And then this will vary for whatever size seed bead you're going to be using, but you just want to make sure you have enough that when you pass it, when you wrap this up like this, that you can actually pass your button through there. And I see kind of a weird one there. Let's take that guy out. Okay, so let's go back. And this is going to be kind of boring. So if you want, I will load some up and then come right back. Okay, so we're back. And I have about 20 8/0 seed beads here. And what I wanted is I wanted enough to where if this was joined at the bottom, that I could pass this through easily. And again, it's not just the button. You have to make sure you get your shank in there too. So now I want to find the middle. So let's go ahead and bring these guys to the middle. Okay, there we go there. And then now it's how long I need my bracelet to be. So this here is about 1/2 inch. And so I want another maybe 6 1/4. Or maybe about 6 inches. We'll go about 6 inches. Because then what we're gonna do is we're gonna come around and go that way. So yeah, we'll probably need about 6 inches. So now what I wanna do is just kind of gauge and see how long I need my pipe chain. So my pipe chain is gonna probably be about, oh, things went flying, about 6 1/4. All right, so let's go ahead and just give this a little bit of a trim, because then we're going to be adding length to this other end as well. Okay, let's move some of this out of the way. Let's try to get a little centered here. Okay, so now what I want to do is pass this through, and we're going to take this here and just pass it on through until we get to the other side. And you will see it poke through. There we go. And then I am going to double check that my button goes through, and my button goes through not easily, but there's no struggle to get it done through. Okay, so now, but what I want to do is I want this bead down here. And so I'm going to go ahead and take it out, because now I know that it is going to be a good length. I'm going to go ahead and take my bead and pass it through. And then I'm going to pass back through my chain. So for me, I would rather check twice before cutting things down or before crimping things up, just to make sure. All right, so here we go there. So here we have that there. And then what we're going to do is pass our button through, and we're going to have a cute, and you can probably put even a little dangle here on the end. All right, so now what we're going to do is make sure our wire fuzzies are gone. Give it a little pinch. This is where Nealay and his geniusness kind of come into play. So I'm going to actually thread on like maybe 3 or 4 of these seed beads, maybe 4. And I apologize for my hands being all messed up. We had a death in the family, and then just recently had the services. So, all right, so now, so we've been hard at work. So now I just want to have that, and that looks pretty good. I like that. So I used 3 seed beads there, and we're going to do 3 seed beads here. And this is where that you can either flat crimp, or you can do a magic crimper crimp here. Let's make sure we get both through there, and they slide through easily. All right, so I'm going to have enough room there to use my magic crimper. So I'm going to go ahead and use my magic crimper. So I'm going to go ahead and thread on both of these here. And the magical crimper, those crimpers work really well when you have 2 or 3. Sometimes if you have a third strand going through, it makes it a little bit easier, but I'm going to go ahead and just do the 2. And so now we have that. That's going to be so cute. So now I'm going to just hold on to that and grab my magical crimpers here. And what makes these different is that you'll notice there's one well compared to having the 2, where you make a taco and then fold it up. For this one here, you make a ravioli and turn it into a meatball. So let's go ahead and put that on there. And now you have your square, and it pinches the 4 corners. Then you're going to turn it to its side and get that in there. And it's hard for me to see. but you want to make sure you have it in there, and then you give it a little crimp, and then you just kind of go around the horn there and just crimp, 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 crimp until you have no tension. And when you have no tension, then you know you have this bead-like finish. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to add these little dangles, just like what Nealay did. And so what I'm going to do though is, because my crimping bead, these have a really good size hole on there. So these would probably, let me bring out that, where's that leather again? I had the leather, here it is. So if I was to trim this off, like at an angle, I could probably get this through 1.5. Yep, so this does fit through a 1.5. This is a 1.5 piece of leather. All right, so what we're gonna do is, since I know my crimps are gonna be too small, let's go ahead and put some beads on there, just like so, right? Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pass through this guy right here, and then pass it back through so that I have my 2 strands. Because with a single strand, it doesn't always work really well. You want to have at least 2 strands. If you can, have a third. But I'm going to have this drop about right there, maybe about right there. And then just make sure you're not crossing, and come in with your crimpers, and you're going to make that ravioli just like so. And then you're going to turn it into a meatball. Okay, and just go around and go around. Make sure you're in there straight. I'm kind of angled off because this is way far away from my head. And when you don't have any more tension, there you go there. And we're going to cut this off just like this, because then this kind of acts like a little head pin. And then we're going to come in and give this a trim. Let's get those guys down there so that we can get as close to that crimp as possible. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side and pass it through and go that way. Because if I would not have put if I would not have used these little seed beads, then this would pass all the way through, and then the bead would not hold up. All right, so let's just see where we're gonna let this one land. And it's all up to you where you want it to land. I do not want those 2 larger beads to be on top of each other. So I am probably gonna go about right there. Okay, then I'm gonna come in, make sure I have my entire crimp inside there, give it a little squeeze, and turn that ravioli into a meatball. I wonder if meatball's gonna catch on like the ravioli did. That'd be kind of fun, huh? And then just keep on going around until you have your meatball. Give that a trim. Give this little guy a trim. Just come in and go as close as you can. Move this out of the way. Then you're just gonna pass these on through, and then you're gonna pass through your button. And there you have a beautiful bracelet. So thank you again for joining me today. I'm so glad I get to share my Fab Five Plus with you all in one video using 3 different projects. Please give this video a huge thumbs up if you like what you're seeing. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you want to see. If I went too fast, need to do another video, just let me know. And subscribe if you haven't done so. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Can you believe it? I'm so excited. So I'd love to get to 1,000 subscribers. And like I said, just leave a comment. I read them all. And be sure to check out the description where I'm going to have a ton of links in there for you guys, including some YouTube channels, some kits, some beads, and tons of other goodies. So until next time, have a good one.